Can you feel it? That icy grip of betrayal, tightening around your heart, squeezing the very breath from your lungs. It's a silent scream, isn't it? The kind that echoes in the empty spaces where trust once lived. Imagine standing at the precipice of everything you've ever fought for, everything you've ever been, only to watch it crumble under the weight of a smile from someone who should have been your ally, your blood. That's where I found myself, suspended in a moment where the air itself felt thick with deceit, where every familiar face became a stranger. My younger brother, Logan, stood before me, bathed in the false glow of victory, his words a poisoned chalice. The company will belong to me. But what he didn't know, what they couldn't possibly fathom, was that the quiet girl in the back, the one they always overlooked, had been weaving a different tapestry, thread by painstaking thread, in the shadows. And in that precise, agonizing instant, as his triumphant laughter filled the room, I knew it was time for the world to see the true architect of our destiny. The game was about to change, and I was holding all the cards. The air in the boardroom was thick, not just with the oppressive August heat that always seemed to cling to Kansas City, but with an unspoken tension that had been building for years, a silent storm brewing beneath the polished surface of our family's legacy. I sat in the last row, my hands flat against the cool, dark walnut of the table, a silent observer in a drama I knew intimately. My younger brother, Logan, stood at the head of the room, a picture of tailored ambition in his expensive suit, his smile a mask of triumph that seemed to mock the very air I breathed. He looked directly at me, a flicker of something akin to pity, or perhaps disdain in his eyes, before his gaze swept across the room, encompassing the eager faces of our mother, our younger sister Peyton, his fiancé Tyler, and even our Uncle Marshall. Their applause, when it came, was a deafening roar in my ears, a chorus of complicity that affirmed his every word. "This company," he declared, his voice echoing with a confidence that grated against my soul, "will belong to me. I hold a full 49% of the shares." It was a moment designed for spectacle, for the grand unveiling of a future they had all meticulously crafted, a future in which I had no place. My mother, Valerie, started the applause, her eyes shining with a pride she had never once shown for me. Peyton, ever the performer, shrieked with delight, already angling her phone to capture the moment for her online audience. Tyler, Logan's fiancé, a woman whose ambition rivaled his own, jumped up, clapping with an almost manic energy. Even Uncle Marshall, usually a man of quiet reserve, joined in, his slow, deliberate claps a stark reminder of how deeply entrenched this belief in Logan's destiny truly was. But I didn't move. I simply reached for my phone, my fingers brushing against the cool glass, and with a deliberate, almost imperceptible movement, I hit the speaker button and dialed my assistant. The second her calm, professional voice began to play, a hush fell over the room, swift and absolute. It was as if a spell had been broken, the celebratory din replaced by a sudden, chilling silence. Logan's triumphant smile faltered, then vanished, his face draining of color, turning to the ashen hue of defeat. In that instant, the carefully constructed facade of their victory shattered, revealing the raw, unsettling truth beneath. This wasn't just about a company. It was about a lifetime of being overlooked, of being deemed unworthy, of fighting for a place at a table that was never truly set for me. It was about the quiet sacrifices, the unseen battles, the relentless pursuit of knowledge and understanding that had defined my existence while they reveled in their inherited privilege. They saw a woman in the last row, a shadow, a forgotten detail. They didn't see the architect, the strategist, the one who had been meticulously rebuilding the very foundations they thought they owned. And now, the time for shadows was over. The voice on the phone was just the first tremor, a prelude to the earthquake that was about to shake their world to its core. If you've ever felt the sting of being underestimated, of having your worth dismissed by those who should have championed you, then you understand the fire that burned within me, a fire that was about to consume everything in its path. This was more than just a corporate takeover. It was a reclamation of my spirit, a testament to the power of quiet perseverance. The story, however, didn't begin in that tense boardroom. It began 17 years ago, on an icy stretch of I-70 outside Topeka. a day that ripped the heart out of our family and irrevocably altered the course of our lives. My father, Thomas Bennett, a man whose hands were as strong as his spirit was gentle, was hauling a full load of frozen beef to Chicago when his trailer jackknifed on black ice, flipping across 3 lanes. He never made it out of the cab. I was 19, home from community college for the weekend, when the state trooper's knock shattered the pre-dawn silence at 4 a.m. That knock wasn't just at our door. It was at the door of my innocence, ushering in a harsh reality I was ill-prepared to face. The world, as I knew it, fractured into a million pieces, and in the aftermath, a new order began to form, one that would define my struggle for nearly 2 decades. My grandfather, Raymond Bennett, a man whose presence commanded respect and whose decisions were rarely questioned, stepped in the same week to raise us. He was the patriarch, the founder of Bennett Cold Storage, a man who had built an empire from the ground up. Within a month, he had already decided who the future of that empire would be. It wasn't me. It was Logan, my younger brother, then a mere 16 years old. He was immediately showered with opportunities: private tutors, summer internships driving reefer units, and then, the minute he turned 22, a full ride to the University of Michigan. My mother, Valerie, would tell anyone who would listen that Logan had the right temperament for business, that he was born to lead. Her words, delivered with a dismissive glance in my direction, were a constant reminder of my perceived inadequacy, a subtle but persistent wound. While Logan was being groomed for greatness, I stayed in Kansas City, enrolled in night classes at the local community college, and started on the dock at -10 degrees Fahrenheit. My hands, often numb with cold, learned the brutal ballet of stacking pallets so they wouldn't crush a forklift driver. It was grueling, thankless work, but it was real. It was tangible. And in that harsh environment, something within me began to harden, to sharpen. By 23, I had my commercial driver's license, my hazardous materials endorsement, and a growing reputation for spotting temperature deviations before the alarms ever went off. I learned the rhythm of the cold storage, the subtle hum of the machinery, the language of the logistics. It was a language no one else in my family bothered to learn, a secret knowledge I was accumulating, piece by painstaking piece. My grandfather, Raymond, a man of few words but keen observation, noticed. He moved me inside to operations, then to dispatch, and by 27, he made me supervisor of the entire Kansas City terminal. My mother, of course, dismissed it as manual labor with better lighting, a cutting remark that only fueled my quiet determination. But I knew, deep down, that my grandfather saw something in me, something beyond the superficial charm and inherited ambition of my brother. And that unspoken recognition, that silent nod across a crowded room, was all the validation I needed to keep pushing forward, to keep learning, to keep building my own foundation, brick by unseen brick. What was it that he truly saw, and what silent plan was already beginning to unfold in his mind? The answer, I would soon discover, was far more intricate and profound than I could have ever imagined. Every Christmas dinner became a ritual of comparison, a public spectacle designed to highlight Logan's brilliance and my perceived mediocrity. He would fly in from Ann Arbor, brimming with perfect grades and captivating stories of guest lectures from Fortune 500 CEOs, his narratives polished and engaging, always placing him at the center of a world of high finance and grand strategy. I, on the other hand, would arrive with the tangible marks of my labor, frostbite scars on my fingers, a permanent testament to the brutal cold of the docks, and grease under my nails that never quite washed out, no matter how hard I scrubbed. My mother, Valerie, would inevitably squeeze Logan's shoulder, her voice dripping with adoration as she declared he was carrying the family legacy. Then, her gaze would shift to me, a dismissive flicker in her eyes, as she'd ask, almost as an afterthought, if I was still happy counting boxes. It was a question designed to diminish, to remind me of my place, a place she believed was far beneath Logan's. My grandfather, Raymond, never joined these conversations. He was a man of quiet authority, his presence a steady anchor in the turbulent waters of our family dynamics. But sometimes, across the table, amidst the clinking of silverware and the forced laughter, his eyes would meet mine, and in that brief, silent exchange, he would give the smallest, almost imperceptible nod, It was a gesture that spoke volumes, a silent acknowledgement that he saw something in me, something nobody else bothered to look for. It was a lifeline, a whisper of validation in a world that constantly sought to invalidate my efforts. That nod was a secret language between us, a shared understanding that transcended the superficial judgments of the others. It was in those moments that I felt a flicker of hope, a sense that my hard work, my dedication, was not entirely invisible. 5 years ago, when my grandfather promoted me to vice president of cold logistics, the reaction from my family was exactly as I expected, and yet, it still stung. My mother laughed so hard she had to excuse herself from the room, her mirth echoing in the hallway, a cruel symphony of disbelief. Logan, who was already living in Chicago and working for a private equity firm that kept trying to buy pieces of our company, sent a text that simply read, "Cute." The single word, devoid of any genuine emotion, was a dismissal, a subtle jab designed to undermine my achievement. Peyton, my little sister, now 29 and still treating life like an endless Instagram shoot, posted a story of champagne glasses with the caption, "Family business leveling up," and tagged only Logan. It was a deliberate exclusion, a public declaration of where her loyalties lay, a constant reminder that I was an outsider, even within my own family. The real difference, however, showed up in the little things, the everyday realities that nobody ever photographed or posted online. Logan got the new Ford Raptor on his 21st birthday, a gleaming symbol of his favored status. I got a 10-year-old pickup with 280,000 miles on it and a cracked windshield, a vehicle that was more a workhorse than a luxury. Logan was introduced to bankers as the next generation of Bennett leadership, his path paved with connections and opportunities. I was introduced, if anyone bothered, as the one who keeps the trucks cold, a functional description that stripped away any sense of ambition or strategic importance. These small, seemingly insignificant details painted a vivid picture of the chasm that separated us. A chasm that was not of my making, but one I was determined to bridge, silently and strategically. Then, 3 years ago, a new shadow fell over our family. My grandfather began having minor heart episodes. The news, though concerning, seemed to solidify the existing power dynamics. My mother, ever vigilant in her devotion to Logan, flew him in from Chicago first class, ensuring he was by his side, ready to assume his rightful place. I, however, was already sleeping in the waiting room, a familiar fixture in the sterile hospital environment. My home was only 12 minutes from the hospital, and more importantly, somebody had to sign the freight bills at 3 a.m. when the power grid flickered, a responsibility that always fell to me. I had stopped expecting anything different a long time ago. The sting of their preferential treatment had dulled into a quiet acceptance, replaced by a fierce resolve to simply show up. I just kept showing up before sunrise, kept learning every inch of the refrigeration systems, every clause in every carrier contract, every supplier who would extend us 30 extra days when cash got tight. It was a relentless, almost obsessive pursuit of knowledge, a deep dive into the intricate workings of the company that was my lifeblood. My grandfather watched. He never said much, but he started pulling me into his office after hours, spreading blueprints across the desk, asking my opinion on expansion routes and compressor upgrades. My mother, in her blissful ignorance, assumed those meetings were about giving me busy work, so Logan could focus on the real strategy. But I knew better. I knew he was teaching me, preparing me, subtly transferring the vast knowledge of his empire, piece by piece, into my capable hands. By the time my grandfather's health turned serious, I knew every valve, every thermostat, and every penny of debt on the balance sheet better than anyone else in the building. I also knew exactly how little the rest of the family thought that mattered. Their oversight, their underestimation, was my greatest advantage, a hidden weapon I was slowly, patiently sharpening. What would happen when the true depth of my understanding and my grandfather's quiet trust finally came to light? The answer was closer than any of them dared to imagine, waiting just beyond the veil of their carefully constructed illusions. 14 months ago, the night my grandfather had his massive stroke, everything changed in ways none of them ever noticed. It was a seismic shift, a moment that redefined the very fabric of our family's future. Yet for them, it was merely another crisis to be managed, another obstacle on Logan's predetermined path to power. I was already at the hospital when the ambulance rolled in, its sirens a mournful wail cutting through the night. The Kansas City terminal, my second home, was only 8 miles from St. Luke's, and out of habit, a habit born of years of dedication, I still kept a scanner in my truck. It was a small detail, a seemingly insignificant quirk, but it meant I was there, present, when it truly mattered. By the time my mother and Logan landed on the private jet from Miami, their arrival a dramatic entrance orchestrated for maximum effect. I had already spent 6 grueling hours keeping the reefers running on generator power after a transformer blew downtown. While they were airborne, detached from the realities of our business, I was on the ground, literally keeping the lights on, ensuring the continuity of the very operations they sought to control. My grandfather was stable, a fragile victory, but he couldn't speak. The doctors, their faces grim, explained that the next 72 hours would tell us if he would regain language. It was a period of agonizing uncertainty, a limbo where the fate of a man and an empire hung precariously in the balance. On the 3rd morning, a glimmer of hope emerged. He was awake enough to grip my hand hard, a silent communication that spoke volumes, and then, with a strength that surprised us all, he motioned for a pen. It was a moment of profound clarity, a window into his still sharp mind, a testament to his unwavering will. My assistant, Jenna Park, who also happened to be the corporate attorney I had hired 4 years earlier, a strategic move they had dismissed as my little project, arrived within 20 minutes. She wasn't alone. With her was Daniel Hoffman, the outside counsel my grandfather had trusted for 40 years, a man whose integrity and discretion were legendary. 2 independent neurologists were already in the room, doing their rounds, their presence ensuring a layer of medical impartiality. My grandfather, with a deliberate, almost painful effort, wrote 3 words on the legal pad: voting trust. Daniel, a man who understood the intricate dance of corporate law better than anyone, understood immediately. There was no need for lengthy explanations, no need for clarification. He prepared the irrevocable voting trust agreement on his laptop in the corner, his fingers flying across the keyboard with practiced efficiency, while the doctors confirmed my grandfather's capacity on camera. It was a meticulous process, every step documented, every detail legally sound, a fortress built against future challenges. My grandfather signed with a steady hand, a testament to his resolve, then pointed at me and squeezed my fingers 3 times. It was the same signal he had used since I was a child, a silent code of affection and trust, a gesture that now carried the weight of an entire legacy. The trust transferred 100% of the voting rights attached to his 51% ownership to me alone. Only 4 people in that room ever knew the beneficiary was me: my grandfather, Daniel, Jenna, and the 2 physicians. The filed document listed a blind trust number, a veil of secrecy designed to protect the true nature of the transfer. My mother, in her unwavering belief in Logan's destiny, assumed it went to him, because that was what she wanted to believe, what she needed to believe. Her delusion was my greatest shield, a protective cloak that allowed me to operate in plain sight, yet remain invisible. From that day forward, every wire transfer over $5 million, every new carrier contract, every debt payment carried my signature, even though nobody outside the accounting department realized it. I worked 18-hour days beside the CFO we had kept from the old regime, a loyal and discreet ally. Together, we quietly refinanced the entire $138 million revolver at 7% over SOFR, locking in a 5-year covenant-light term before the banks figured out the old man wasn't signing anymore. It was a financial masterstroke, a silent act of stabilization that secured the company's future, all while the family remained blissfully unaware. While Logan flew private to Silicon Valley, pitching partnerships nobody asked for, chasing fleeting trends and superficial connections, I sat in windowless rooms in Des Moines and Omaha. I was negotiating the new 5-year master agreements with Walmart and Cisco, contracts that added $420 million in guaranteed cold chain volume. These were the lifeblood of the company, the foundational agreements that ensured its continued prosperity. The legal team I built handled the paperwork, a cadre of sharp, dedicated professionals who understood the gravity of our mission. The operations managers I promoted executed the expansion, their expertise and loyalty, a testament to my leadership. Revenue started climbing the same month the ink dried, a tangible manifestation of our quiet, relentless efforts. The company was not just surviving, it was thriving, silently, under my unseen hand. When distant cousins and retiring drivers panicked after news of my grandfather's condition leaked, they dumped small blocks of stock on the market. It was a moment of vulnerability, a potential threat, but I turned it into an opportunity. I bought every single share through a series of Delaware LLCs that Jenna set up, picking up another 18% at or below book value over 9 months. The irrevocable proxies from the employee pension funds followed once the trustees saw the new contracts and the zero debt on the balance sheet. By spring, I controlled 69% of the voting power, a silent, undeniable majority. And nobody in the family had bothered to check the cap table, because they were too busy planning Logan's victory party, too consumed by their own self-serving narratives to notice the quiet revolution unfolding around them. My mother kept calling to ask when Logan could move into my grandfather's corner office. Peyton sent mood boards for the redecoration. Tyler Brooks, Logan's fiancé and the project consultant Logan had put on payroll against my advice, started measuring for a new glass desk before the paint was even dry. Uncle Marshall texted the country club to reserve the ballroom for the transition announcement. They were living in a dream, a carefully constructed fantasy, while I was building a new reality, brick by painstaking brick. What would happen when their dream finally collided with my reality, and the true extent of my power was unveiled? The answer, I knew, would be nothing short of explosive. I let them plan. I watched their elaborate preparations unfold with a quiet, almost detached amusement, like an audience observing a play whose ending they believed they already knew. Their excitement, their certainty, was a stark contrast to the relentless, often solitary work that consumed my days and nights. While they debated floral arrangements and guest lists for Logan's supposed coronation, I was signing freight bills at 2 a.m, the only sound the hum of the old office printer and the distant rumble of trucks. I walked the dock at -20 degrees Fahrenheit, the frigid air biting at my exposed skin, to make sure the new ammonia compressors held pressure, ensuring the integrity of our cold chain, the very backbone of our business. Every detail, every operational nuance was my responsibility, my burden, and my strength. I watched the profit line turn black for the first time in 6 years, a silent victory that resonated deep within my soul, a testament to the efficacy of my quiet, strategic leadership. My grandfather, from his bed, followed every report through the tablet Jenna had set up beside him. He couldn't speak, but his eyes, clear and sharp, conveyed a depth of understanding and approval that words could never capture. In those silent exchanges, a profound connection existed, a shared knowledge that transcended the physical limitations imposed by his stroke. He saw the numbers, he understood the implications, and in his gaze, I found the unwavering support that fueled my resolve. It was a bond forged not in words, but in shared purpose, in a mutual dedication to the legacy he had built and entrusted to me. His silent presence was a constant reminder of the weight of my responsibility and the profound trust he had placed in my hands. By the time August rolled around and the board meeting invitation went out, the company was stronger than it had been since the 90s. It was debt-free, growing, and poised for a future that none of them, in their self-absorbed bubble, could possibly envision. The family still thought Logan was about to save it, to swoop in as the heroic rescuer of a floundering enterprise. They had no idea it had never needed saving from anyone but them, from their neglect, their short-sightedness, their unwavering belief in superficiality over substance. Their ignorance was a shield, allowing me to work unimpeded, to rebuild and strengthen the company from within, while they remained oblivious to the true architect of its resurgence. The stage was set, the players were in position, and the curtain was about to rise on a drama they would never forget. 10 o'clock sharp that August morning, the boardroom doors closed with a heavy, resonant click that echoed down the marble hallway, a sound that seemed to seal the fate of all within. Logan, radiating an almost palpable aura of self-importance, walked straight to the head of the table in a charcoal Tom Ford suit, a sartorial statement of his perceived authority. He clicked the remote, and the projector lit up with a sleek silver logo, a new brand identity no one in the company had ever seen before. It was a symbol of his vision, a vision of radical change and disruption, a future he believed he alone could deliver. He let the silence hang, a theatrical pause designed to build anticipation, just long enough for everyone to lean forward, captivated by his performance. Then he spread his arms, a grand gesture, as if he were about to accept an award, a preemptive embrace of victory. "Thank you for coming on short notice," he began, his voice smooth and practiced, honed by 100 pitch deck rehearsals in Chicago. He launched into his presentation, a slick, confident delivery that painted a grim picture of our current operations. "Grandfather built an incredible Midwest cold storage network," he conceded, a grudging acknowledgement of Raymond's legacy. "But the industry has changed. We're bleeding margin on outdated brick freezers and diesel reefers, while competitors run driverless trucks and robotic warehouses out of Phoenix." My mother, Valerie, crossed her arms and nodded before he even finished the sentence, the way she always did when Logan spoke, her unwavering belief in him a blind spot that obscured any critical judgment. Peyton already had her phone angled to livestream every word to her followers, her face alight with the thrill of the moment, oblivious to the true implications of his words. Tyler leaned back with a satisfied grin, scrolling through something on his tablet that looked suspiciously like valuation models, his eyes gleaming with the promise of future wealth. Logan advanced the slide. A giant red arrow pointed downward over drone footage of our Kansas City terminal at dawn, pallets stacked 25 high under floodlights, a stark visual representation of what he deemed outdated. "Phase 1, he announced, his voice resonating with conviction. "Immediate sale of all physical cold storage assets in Missouri, Kansas, and Nebraska. Estimated proceeds, $310 million after tax." Uncle Marshall rubbed his chin, looking impressed for the first time in years, his initial skepticism seemingly replaced by a newfound admiration for Logan's bold vision. "Phase 2, Logan continued. "Workforce reduction from 2,900 employees to under 500, mostly software engineers and remote monitoring staff relocated to Arizona." My mother actually smiled at that one, a chilling display of her detachment from the human cost of his plan. Peyton typed furiously, probably drafting the press release in her head, already envisioning the positive spin for her social media audience. "Phase 3, he concluded. "Full transition to autonomous refrigerated trailers and cloud-controlled robotic warehouses in partnership with 2 Silicon Valley startups." Logan clicked again, and a render appeared on the screen. Driverless trucks gliding across the desert at night, sleek and futuristic, no human within 50 meters. Projected EBITDA margin year 4, 47%. Tyler, ever the eager consultant, raised his hand like we were at a TED Talk. "At a 22 times multiple," he interjected, his voice barely containing his excitement. "That's north of $4 billion in 36 months. Personal liquidity event for family shareholders. Low 9 figures each." The room, to them, smelled like victory, a heady aroma of impending wealth and power. Logan clicked to the final slide, a new org chart with his name alone at the top in bold, CEO and chairman. Underneath, a single empty box labeled Strategic Advisors, a placeholder for the compliant figures he envisioned. He turned to the independent directors and smiled, the practiced, charming smile that had closed every investor meeting in Chicago for the last 5 years. "I have secured written commitments from 3 institutions, representing 28% of the non-family shares," he announced, his voice brimming with confidence. "Combined with the family block, we have the votes today. I'm asking for immediate approval on 3 resolutions. Appoint me CEO, authorize the asset sales, and execute the reduction plan. Voting in 5 minutes." The stage was set, the trap was sprung, or so they thought. But they had underestimated the quiet woman in the back, the one who had been watching, learning, and preparing for this very moment. What hidden truths was she about to unleash? And how would their carefully constructed world withstand the force of her revelation? Peyton started clapping first, her enthusiasm a jarring contrast to the silence that had preceded it. My mother joined in, her eyes shining with a fervent belief in Logan's vision, a belief that had blinded her to so much. Uncle Marshall gave a slow, deliberate nod that looked almost regal, his approval a weighty endorsement. Tyler pulled out his phone, his thumbs flying across the screen, undoubtedly texting his partners that the deal was locked, sealed, and delivered. Logan stood taller, soaking it all in, basking in the moment he had waited for his entire life. The projector fan hummed behind him, a low, steady sound that, to his ears, must have sounded like applause, a constant affirmation of his impending triumph. I stayed in my seat at the far end of the table, my fingers resting lightly on the polished wood, watching the digital clock tick toward the vote. The air conditioning roared overhead, a futile attempt to cool a room that still felt 20 degrees too warm, heavy with the oppressive weight of their collective delusion. Logan glanced my way once, a smirk firmly in place, a fleeting moment of condescension, then turned back to the screen, lost in the glow of his imagined victory. He had no idea the moment was already over. It was then that I finally set my water glass down. The clink, a small, insignificant sound, cut through their laughter and their self-congratulatory murmurs like a dropped wrench on concrete, sharp and jarring. Everyone turned, their expressions shifting from triumphant glee to mild annoyance, then to curiosity. Logan raised an eyebrow, half amused, half irritated that the spotlight had shifted, even for a second, away from him. I stood slowly, deliberately, allowing the weight of my presence to settle over the room. I walked to the side table where the printed deck sat, a tangible representation of Logan's meticulously crafted, yet fatally flawed plan. With a calm, unhurried movement, I flipped to the page with the Walmart master agreement that had gone live 4 months earlier. "Before anyone votes," I said, my voice steady, clear, and devoid of any emotion, "you should know the asset sale you just applauded triggers an immediate termination clause with Walmart. Page 47, subsection C. They walk the day escrow closes, and we owe them $68 million in penalties for the next 5 years. Silence spread faster than the air conditioning could cool it, a chilling hush that descended upon the room, extinguishing their celebratory mood. Logan's smirk faltered, then vanished, replaced by a look of dawning horror. My mother shifted uncomfortably in her chair, her earlier pride replaced by a flicker of unease. Peyton lowered her phone, her live stream momentarily forgotten, her eyes wide with a sudden, unsettling realization. I flipped to the Cisco contract next. "Same structure," I continued, my voice unwavering. "Another $54 million in make-whole payments if we lose more than 30% of our Midwest freezer capacity. Combined exposure, $122 million before legal fees." Tyler, ever the opportunist, tried to interrupt, his voice laced with a desperate attempt to regain control, but I kept going, my words a relentless torrent of inconvenient truths. "The autonomous trailer partner you listed as locked? Their Series C just collapsed last week. The term sheet you're waving expired 30 days ago. I have the email." Logan recovered enough to laugh, a short, sharp, disbelieving sound. "Riley, always the operations girl. Those are details the adults will handle after the vote." His attempt to dismiss me, to relegate me to my perceived subordinate role, was a desperate, futile gesture. I clicked my own remote. The screen changed, no longer displaying Logan's slick, futuristic renders, but the current cap table, pulled from the transfer agent that very morning. My name sat at the top, bold and undeniable, with 69% voting control. The room went completely still, the silence now absolute, heavy with the weight of an undeniable truth. My mother found her voice first, a strangled whisper. "That's impossible. Grandfather's shares are in trust for Logan." "Wrong trust," I answered, my voice cutting through her denial. "The voting trust he signed 14 months ago in the presence of 2 neurologists and Daniel Hoffman transfers every single vote from his 51% to me, irrevocably." Peyton's mouth actually fell open, a silent gasp of disbelief. Uncle Marshall leaned forward, his eyes narrow, calculating angles he hadn't seen coming, his regal demeanor replaced by a look of stunned realization. Tyler looked like someone had pulled the plug on his future, his face a mask of utter devastation. I advanced the slide again, revealing the full extent of my strategic acquisitions. The 18% I bought personally, plus the employee pension proxies, bring it to 69. You have 49 economic shares, Logan. 0 votes. The resolutions you want to pass are already dead. Logan's face cycled through 3 shades of red before settling on something closer to gray, his carefully constructed world crumbling around him. "You're lying," he choked out, his voice raw with disbelief and fury. "You've been counting pallets your whole life. You don't have the money or the brains for this." My mother stood up so fast her chair rolled back and hit the credenza with a loud thud. "Riley, If this is some kind of joke, it is not funny. It's not a joke, I said, meeting her eyes for the first time in years without looking away, my gaze unwavering. It's 14 months of cleaning up every mess this family pretended didn't exist while you planned parties in Chicago. Tyler finally spoke, his voice thin and reedy, a desperate attempt to cling to his fading relevance. Big sister still thinks counting pallets is the future. I turned to him, my eyes piercing. Counting pallets kept the lights on while you were billing the company $250 an hour to design logos nobody asked for. Peyton whispered something that sounded like, "This can't be happening," and clutched her phone like it might save her, her digital world offering no solace in this analog nightmare. Uncle Marshall just stared at the cap table, his lips moving silently as he did the math one more time and came up short. Logan slammed both palms on the table, hard enough to rattle the water glasses, his fury finally erupting. "You forged it. You waited until he couldn't talk. And you forged everything." I let the silence answer for a second, allowing his accusation to hang in the air, a desperate, baseless claim. Then, I clicked to the final slide, a still frame from the hospital video, time-stamped, showing my grandfather's hand signing the trust while the doctors watched. His eyes were clear, lucid, filled with an undeniable purpose. He looked straight into the camera and squeezed my fingers 3 times, a silent, powerful affirmation of his choice. The room had never been quieter, the air thick with the weight of undeniable truth. It was a moment of profound revelation, a testament to the power of foresight and meticulous planning. This is where the story truly takes hold, where the quiet strength of perseverance meets the loud arrogance of entitlement. If you've ever felt the burning desire to prove your worth, to show the world what you're truly capable of, then you know the depth of emotion in this moment. It's a feeling that transcends mere business. It's about reclaiming your narrative, your identity, your very soul. And if this story has resonated with you, if it's stirred something deep inside, then I invite you to become a part of our community. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join us as we explore more tales of resilience, betrayal, and unexpected triumphs. Your stories, your insights, are what make this channel truly special. Share your own experiences in the comments below. Have you ever been underestimated? Have you ever had to fight for what was rightfully yours? Let's connect, let's share, and let's build a space where every voice is heard, every struggle acknowledged, and every victory celebrated. And if you have ideas for other themes or stories you'd like us to explore, please, don't hesitate to suggest them. This channel is for you, and your input helps shape its journey. I pulled my phone out, hit speaker, and dialed Jenna. The door opened 2 seconds later, and she walked in, carrying a slim leather folder, her heels silent on the carpet, a picture of calm efficiency amidst the chaos. She placed a small digital recorder in the center of the table and pressed play without asking permission. My grandfather's voice filled the room, weak but perfectly clear, recorded the morning after the stroke when the doctors still allowed short visits. I, Raymond Bennett, being of sound mind and under no duress, do hereby irrevocably transfer and delegate all voting rights attached to my 51% ownership in Bennett Cold Storage and Distribution to my granddaughter Riley Bennett for as long as I shall live, and for 10 years thereafter. The words, delivered with a quiet dignity, were a hammer blow to their carefully constructed illusions, an undeniable testament to his will. This delegation may not be revoked, amended, or challenged by any person for any reason. Witnessed this 3rd day after my admission by Dr. Sarah Mitchell and Dr. Paul Enuan, both present and confirming capacity. The recording continued, a meticulous layering of evidence. The 2 physicians followed, stating their names, titles, and medical opinions, that my grandfather understood every word he signed, their professional voices lending an irrefutable weight to the proceedings. Then came Daniel Hoffman, identifying himself as counsel of record for 42 years and confirming the document complied with Missouri law. When the file ended, the only sound was the hum of the air conditioning and Peyton breathing too fast. Her composure finally shattered. Logan stared at the recorder like it had personally insulted him, his face a mask of disbelief and fury. My mother's hand flew to her mouth, a silent gasp of horror. Tyler's face went the color of spoiled milk, his dreams of a lucrative future dissolving before his eyes. Jenna opened the folder and slid notarized copies across the table, one for each director. The original voting trust agreement was filed with the Secretary of State 14 months ago. The cap table in front of you reflects current reality. Riley controls 69% of all votes as of 8 o'clock this morning. Logan finally found his voice, but it cracked halfway through, a pathetic sound of a man utterly broken. This is fraud. He couldn't even speak, Jenna answered calmly, her voice a soothing balm of logic in the storm of their emotions. He wrote every instruction himself the first 3 days, then nodded yes when Daniel read the final version aloud. 2 board-certified neurologists documented capacity on video. You're welcome to spend the next 5 years and $10 million trying to break it in court. You'll lose. Her words were delivered with a quiet authority, a definitive statement that left no room for doubt or argument. My mother stood again, her eyes wild, her voice laced with a desperate plea. Riley, how could you do this to your own brother? I looked at her for a long moment, the weight of 17 years of neglect and dismissal heavy in my gaze. The same way you did it to me every day for 17 years. Peyton started crying, mascara already running, her carefully curated image dissolving into a mess of tears. We're family. You can't just take everything. I didn't take anything, I said, my voice firm, unwavering. Grandfather gave it. You just never thought he was watching closely enough to notice who actually showed up. Uncle Marshall cleared his throat, suddenly interested in the emergency exit sign, his earlier regal demeanor replaced by an awkward discomfort. Tyler tried to slide his chair back an inch and discovered it wouldn't move, a small symbolic trap that mirrored his larger predicament. Logan leaned forward, knuckles white on the table, his voice a low growl of impotent rage. You think this is over? I have investors lined up. I have lawyers. You have 49% of the economics, I said, cutting him off, my voice calm and authoritative. You have 0 votes. The company belongs to whoever controls the votes in Missouri. That's me. Jenna collected the recorder and closed the folder. The meeting is now under Riley's authority. Anyone who wishes to leave may do so. Nobody moved. The silence stretched, heavy and pregnant with unspoken emotions. I let it sit for another 5 seconds, allowing the full weight of the new reality to sink in. Then, I picked up Logan's remote and turned off the projector. The screen went dark, taking his entire future with it, a symbolic act that underscored the finality of the moment. Logan's shoulders dropped like someone had cut the strings, his posture collapsing in defeat. My mother sank back into her chair, her face pale and drawn. Peyton kept crying into her sleeve, her sobs the only sound in the room. Tyler stared at the table like he was trying to disappear into the wood grain, his once confident demeanor utterly shattered. For the first time in my life, nobody in that family looked at me like I was the one who didn't belong. The roles had reversed, the power dynamics irrevocably shifted. I took Logan's remote, clicked to my own slides, and started the real meeting. The first slide showed the debt balance, 0. The second showed revenue growth, 34% year over year. The third showed the new 50-truck order rolling off the line in Springfield next quarter. I walked them through every decision made in the last 14 months, every contract signed, every dollar saved, every job protected. It was a comprehensive, undeniable presentation of my stewardship, a testament to the quiet, diligent work that had saved and revitalized the company. When I finished, the independent directors were already nodding, their faces reflecting a newfound respect and understanding. Then came the resolutions, delivered with a calm, unwavering resolve. Effective immediately, I said, my voice resonating with authority. Logan Bennett is removed as Executive Vice President and stripped of all signing authority. Valerie Bennett is removed as Family Representative and Board Advisor without severance. Peyton Bennett is removed from marketing and placed on unpaid administrative leave, pending review of expense reports. Tyler Brooks is permanently barred from company property, and all vendor accounts he accessed are frozen. Uncle Marshall retains his economic shares but loses board observer status. My mother made a sound like someone had punched her in the stomach, a guttural cry of despair. Logan just stared straight ahead, jaw locked so tight I thought it might crack, his pride utterly shattered. Security escorted them out within 5 minutes. Logan didn't look back, his defeat absolute. My mother tried to grab my arm on the way past, a desperate, futile gesture, but I stepped aside and let her hand close on empty air. Peyton was still crying, her tears a testament to the sudden, brutal collapse of her privileged world. Tyler was already on his phone, frantically trying to book the fastest flight anywhere else, desperate to escape the wreckage of his ambition. The empire had fallen, not with a bang, but with the quiet, deliberate precision of a woman who had been underestimated for far too long. The true reckoning, however, was just beginning, as the dominoes of their lives continued to fall, one by painful one. 72 hours later, the dominoes finished falling, each one a stark reminder of the fragile foundations upon which their lives had been built. Logan's fund in Chicago got the news first. They terminated him the same afternoon with a one-line email, a cold, impersonal dismissal that mirrored the detachment he had always shown towards the human element of our business. The bank that held the mortgage on his River North condo didn't wait for explanations. They started foreclosure proceedings the next morning, a swift and brutal consequence of his sudden unemployment and shattered reputation. By the end of the week, his credit cards were maxed, his carefully curated lifestyle crumbling around him, and his name was off every guest list in the city, his social standing evaporating as quickly as his financial security. The world he had so meticulously constructed, built on the shifting sands of inherited wealth and perceived power, had utterly collapsed. Tyler, Logan's erstwhile fiancé and co-conspirator, proved his true colors with a final, cynical act of betrayal. He emptied the joint wedding fund he had quietly managed, a staggering $380,000, and disappeared to Costa Rica, leaving Logan not only jobless and homeless, but also financially devastated and abandoned. The day the wedding invitations were supposed to go out, the FBI opened a wire fraud file, a grim consequence of Tyler's deceit. 2 days later, the venue sued Peyton for the non-refundable deposit, a legal battle that added another layer of stress to her already crumbling world. She sold her Range Rover to cover the first legal bill, a painful sacrifice of her luxury lifestyle, and still owed 6 figures, the financial burden a stark contrast to her once carefree existence. My mother, Valerie, in a desperate attempt to salvage some semblance of her former life, tried to rally the country club wives for support, but the social circles she had so carefully cultivated proved to be as fickle as her loyalty. Most of them suddenly had scheduling conflicts, their polite excuses thinly veiled rejections. Within a month she moved out of the sprawling house on Ward Parkway, a symbol of her former status, into a 2-bedroom condo off State Line Road, a stark downgrade that reflected her diminished circumstances. The last time I saw her was in the grocery store. She turned down the cereal aisle when she spotted me, a fleeting moment of avoidance that spoke volumes about her shame and regret. Peyton, in her own way, tried to erase the past. She deleted every social account that mentioned the family business, attempting to scrub away the digital footprint of her former life. She now works part-time at a boutique in Leawood, a far cry from her aspirations of corporate marketing, and hasn't spoken to me since the day she left the building, her silence a bitter testament to the chasm that had opened between us. 6 months later, the first cool breeze of a Missouri winter finally brushed across Table Rock Lake, bringing with it a sense of quiet reflection. I pushed my grandfather's wheelchair to the edge of the dock, where the water turns dark and still, mirroring the calm that had finally settled over our lives. The doctors had said he would never speak again, a cruel irony for a man who had once commanded so much. But his mind was sharp, his spirit unbroken, and his grip was strong, a silent testament to his enduring will. He reached for my hand and squeezed 3 times, the same signal he had used since I was 5 years old, whenever he was proud, and didn't trust words to convey the depth of his emotion. It was a moment of profound connection, a silent affirmation of our shared journey, our quiet victory. I squeezed back once, a reciprocal gesture of love and understanding. "It's still ours, grandfather," I whispered, my voice thick with emotion, the words a promise, a vow. He closed his eyes and nodded, the smallest movement, but it was enough. We sat there until the sun dropped behind the hills, and the air turned cold enough to see our breath, 2 figures silhouetted against the fading light, sharing a moment of profound peace. There were no speeches, no apologies from anyone who owed them, no reconciliation that wasn't earned. There was just the quiet knowledge that the company would keep running, the trucks would keep rolling, and the people who had actually shown up every single day would keep their jobs and their dignity. This was the only ending this family gets, a testament to the enduring power of truth and integrity. And that is the lesson, the profound truth that resonated through every fiber of my being. Blood doesn't earn trust. Presence does. Showing up at 3 in the morning when the compressor fails, learning every valve and every contract, protecting the people who depend on you. Those are the things that matter when the room goes silent and the votes are counted. It's about the quiet work, the unwavering dedication, the relentless pursuit of excellence, even when no one is watching. It's about building something real, something sustainable, something that stands the test of time, not on the shifting sands of entitlement, but on the solid rock of hard work and genuine commitment. This story, my story, is a testament to the power of the unseen, the strength of the underestimated, and the ultimate triumph of integrity over arrogance. It's a reminder that true power lies not in inherited titles or superficial charm, but in the quiet, unwavering resolve to do what is right, to protect what is valuable, and to always show up. The echoes of their hurried, humiliated departure still lingered in the air, a phantom symphony of shattered pride. Logan, my mother, Peyton, Tyler, each one a ghost of their former selves, their grand illusions reduced to dust. The security guards, stoic and efficient, had performed their duty with a quiet professionalism that underscored the finality of the moment. Logan hadn't looked back, his defeat too absolute to allow for even a backward glance. My mother, in her desperate attempt to cling to a past that no longer existed, had reached for me, her hand closing on empty air as I stepped aside, a silent refusal to engage in a reconciliation that was unearned. Peyton's sobs, once a theatrical display, were now genuine, raw, a testament to the brutal collapse of her privileged world. Tyler, ever the pragmatist, was already on his phone, frantically trying to book a flight, desperate to escape the wreckage of his ambition. The room, once a stage for their triumph, was now a silent testament to my quiet victory. For the first time in my life, nobody in that family looked at me like I was the one who didn't belong. The roles had reversed. The power dynamics irrevocably shifted. The weight of their judgment, once a constant burden, had lifted, replaced by a new kind of weight, the weight of a crown I had silently forged, piece by painstaking piece. It was a strange, almost surreal feeling, this sudden absence of their disdain. I took Logan's remote, the very instrument he had used to orchestrate his imagined takeover, and with a decisive click, I advanced to my own slides. The screen, once dark, now illuminated with the true narrative of Bennett Cold Storage. The first slide was simple, yet profoundly impactful. Debt balance, 0. A collective gasp rippled through the independent directors, their eyes widening in surprise and dawning respect. The second slide revealed revenue growth, 34% year over year, a testament to the strategic contracts and operational efficiencies I had implemented. The third showed new 50-truck order rolling off the line in Springfield next quarter, a tangible symbol of expansion and future prosperity. I walked them through every decision made in the last 14 months, every contract signed, every dollar saved, every job protected. It wasn't a performance. It was a factual, undeniable account of diligent stewardship, a meticulous detailing of the quiet, relentless work that had saved and revitalized the company from the brink of financial instability. My voice, once dismissed as merely the operations girl, now resonated with an undeniable authority, each word backed by irrefutable data and tangible results. I spoke of the refinancing, the new master agreements with Walmart and Cisco, the strategic acquisitions of stock, the unwavering focus on operational excellence. I spoke of the people, the dedicated employees whose jobs I had protected, whose livelihoods I had secured. When I finished, the independent directors were already nodding, their faces reflecting a newfound respect and understanding, their earlier skepticism replaced by a profound admiration. They saw not just a leader, but a visionary, a strategist who had navigated the company through treacherous waters, while the others were lost in their own self-serving fantasies. Then came the resolutions, delivered with a calm, unwavering resolve that left no room for doubt or argument. Effective immediately, I said, my voice resonating with the full weight of my newly consolidated power. Logan Bennett is removed as executive vice president and stripped of all signing authority. The words hung in the air, a final, definitive severing of his ties to the company he believed was his birthright. Valerie Bennett is removed as family representative and board advisor without severance. My mother's financial and social influence, once so pervasive, was now officially curtailed. her role reduced to nothing. Peyton Bennett is removed from marketing and placed on unpaid administrative leave pending review of expense reports. Her superficial contributions, her Instagram-fueled campaigns, were exposed for what they truly were, an expensive indulgence. Tyler Brooks is permanently barred from company property, and all vendor accounts he accessed are frozen. His opportunistic exploitation of the company's resources was brought to an abrupt and permanent halt. Uncle Marshall retains his economic shares but loses board observer status. Even his quiet complicity had a price, a removal from the inner circle of decision-making. My mother made a sound like someone had punched her in the stomach, a guttural cry of despair that echoed the collapse of her entire world. Logan just stared straight ahead, jaw locked so tight I thought it might crack, his pride utterly shattered, his ambition reduced to ashes. The security guards, who had been waiting patiently outside, were summoned. They escorted my family out within 5 minutes, their departure a stark public humiliation. Logan didn't look back, his defeat too absolute to allow for even a backward glance. My mother tried to grab my arm on the way past, a desperate, futile gesture, but I stepped aside, allowing her hand to close on empty air, a silent refusal to engage in a reconciliation that was unearned. Peyton was still crying, her tears a testament to the sudden, brutal collapse of her privileged world. Tyler was already on his phone, frantically trying to book the fastest flight anywhere else, desperate to escape the wreckage of his ambition. The empire had fallen, not with a bang, but with the quiet, deliberate precision of a woman who had been underestimated for far too long. The true reckoning, however, was just beginning, as the dominoes of their lives continued to fall, one by painful one, each collapse a testament to the enduring power of truth and integrity. The silence that followed their departure was profound, a cleansing quiet that washed over the room, erasing the lingering traces of their arrogance and deceit. It was a silence filled not with emptiness, but with possibility, with the promise of a future built on solid ground, on genuine merit and unwavering dedication. The independent directors, once mere spectators in a family drama, now looked at me with a newfound respect, their expressions a mixture of awe and admiration. They saw not just a leader, but a survivor, a strategist who had navigated the treacherous waters of family politics and corporate intrigue with an almost superhuman calm. I had not just saved the company, I had transformed it, purged it of its toxic elements, and set it on a course for unprecedented growth. The weight of the crown was heavy, yes, but it was a weight I was prepared to bear, a responsibility I embraced with every fiber of my being. The path ahead would not be easy, but it would be mine, forged by my own hands, guided by my own vision. And in that moment, as I looked out at the faces of the directors, I knew that the true work, the work of building a legacy that truly mattered, had only just begun. What challenges lay ahead, and how would I navigate the complex landscape of a company reborn, free from the shadows of its past? The answer, I knew, would require every ounce of my strength, my intelligence, and my unwavering resolve. The days that followed were a whirlwind of activity, a relentless torrent of tasks that demanded my full attention. The immediate aftermath of the boardroom coup was a complex tapestry of legalities, financial adjustments, and human resources transitions. Jenna, my brilliant corporate attorney, worked tirelessly by my side, her calm demeanor a steadying force amidst the necessary upheaval. We meticulously reviewed every contract, every financial record, every operational procedure, ensuring that the company was not only legally sound, but also strategically positioned for its new era of growth. The CFO, a man of quiet loyalty and immense financial acumen, proved invaluable in navigating the intricate web of refinancing and debt management. Together, we solidified the foundations I had so carefully laid, transforming the company from a fragile entity burdened by family drama into a robust, debt-free enterprise. The news of the boardroom shakeup spread like wildfire through the industry, a ripple effect that reached far beyond Kansas City. Competitors, once dismissive of Bennett Cold Storage, now looked at us with a newfound respect, recognizing the strategic brilliance behind the sudden shift in power. Our partners, particularly Walmart and Cisco, expressed their relief and renewed confidence, understanding that the company was now in capable, stable hands. The guaranteed cold chain volume, secured through my tireless negotiations, was now more secure than ever, a testament to the strength of our renewed relationships. The employees, initially stunned by the dramatic events, quickly rallied behind the new leadership. They saw not just a change in management, but a promise of stability, a commitment to their jobs and their dignity. The quiet work, the unseen efforts, had finally come to light, and the people who truly mattered, the backbone of the company, responded with unwavering loyalty. Meanwhile, the lives of my family members continued their rapid descent, a cascade of consequences that proved Jenna's words prophetic. 72 hours later, the dominoes finished falling, each one a stark reminder of the fragile foundations upon which their lives had been built. Logan's fund in Chicago, a symbol of his high-flying ambition, received the news first. They terminated him the same afternoon with a one-line email, a cold, impersonal dismissal that mirrored the detachment he had always shown towards the human element of our business. The bank that held the mortgage on his River North condo didn't wait for explanations. They started foreclosure proceedings the next morning, a swift and brutal consequence of his sudden unemployment and shattered reputation. By the end of the week, his credit cards were maxed, his carefully curated lifestyle crumbling around him, and his name was off every guest list in the city, his social standing evaporating as quickly as his financial security. The world he had so meticulously constructed, built on the shifting sands of inherited wealth and perceived power, had utterly collapsed, leaving him with nothing but the bitter taste of defeat. Tyler, Logan's erstwhile fiancé and co-conspirator, proved his true colors with a final, cynical act of betrayal. He emptied the joint wedding fund he had quietly managed, a staggering $380,000, and disappeared to Costa Rica, leaving Logan not only jobless and homeless, but also financially devastated and abandoned. The day the wedding invitations were supposed to go out, the FBI opened a wire fraud file, a grim consequence of Tyler's deceit. 2 days later, the venue sued Peyton for the non-refundable deposit, a legal battle that added another layer of stress to her already crumbling world. She sold her Range Rover to cover the first legal bill, a painful sacrifice of her luxury lifestyle, and still owed 6 figures, the financial burden a stark contrast to her once carefree existence. The superficiality of her life, once celebrated on social media, was now exposed for its hollowness, its lack of true substance. My mother, Valerie, in a desperate attempt to salvage some semblance of her former life, tried to rally the country club wives for support, but the social circles she had so carefully cultivated proved to be as fickle as her loyalty. Most of them suddenly had scheduling conflicts, their polite excuses thinly veiled rejections. The illusion of her social standing, built on the foundation of her husband's wealth and her son's perceived success, crumbled under the weight of their downfall. Within a month, she moved out of the sprawling house on Ward Parkway, a symbol of her former status, into a 2-bedroom condo off State Line Road, a stark downgrade that reflected her diminished circumstances. The last time I saw her was in the grocery store. She turned down the cereal aisle when she spotted me, a fleeting moment of avoidance that spoke volumes about her shame and regret, a silent acknowledgement of the chasm that now separated us. Peyton, in her own way, tried to erase the past. She deleted every social account that mentioned the family business, attempting to scrub away the digital footprint of her former life, to escape the public scrutiny that now followed her. She now works part-time at a boutique in Leawood, a far cry from her aspirations of corporate marketing, and hasn't spoken to me since the day she left the building, her silence a bitter testament to the chasm that had opened between us. The once vibrant, self-assured young woman was now a shadow of her former self, her dreams shattered, her future uncertain. The consequences of their actions, or rather, their inactions, and their blind allegiance to Logan's superficial ambition, were now fully manifest, a harsh and undeniable reality. Their world, once so secure and privileged, had been utterly remade by the truth, a truth I had quietly, patiently, and strategically unveiled. The quiet girl in the back, the one they had always overlooked, had not just taken control of a company, she had, in a profound and irreversible way, reshaped the very fabric of their lives. And in that reshaping, a new kind of peace, a new kind of justice, had finally emerged. But even in victory, there was a lingering question. What does it truly mean to win, when the cost is the complete dissolution of your own family? The answer, I was learning, was complex and deeply personal. 6 months later, the first cool breeze of a Missouri winter finally brushed across Table Rock Lake, bringing with it a sense of quiet reflection, a stillness that mirrored the calm that had finally settled over our lives. The vibrant colors of autumn had faded, replaced by the muted tones of winter, a season of introspection and quiet strength. I pushed my grandfather's wheelchair to the edge of the dock, where the water turns dark and still, reflecting the vast open sky above. It was a place of profound peace, a sanctuary where the noise of the world seemed to recede, leaving only the gentle lapping of the waves against the shore. The doctors had said he would never speak again, a cruel irony for a man who had once commanded so much, whose words had shaped an empire. But his mind was sharp, his spirit unbroken, and his grip was strong, a silent testament to his enduring will, his unwavering presence. He reached for my hand, his fingers, gnarled with age and softened by illness, closing around mine. He squeezed 3 times, the same signal he had used since I was 5 years old, whenever he was proud and didn't trust words to convey the depth of his emotion. It was a moment of profound connection, a silent affirmation of our shared journey, our quiet victory. In that simple gesture, a lifetime of unspoken understanding passed between us, a bond forged in shared purpose and mutual respect. It was a language only we understood, a secret code of love and trust that transcended the limitations of speech. His eyes, though unable to speak, conveyed a depth of wisdom and contentment that filled my heart with a quiet joy. I squeezed back once, a reciprocal gesture of love and understanding, a silent promise to uphold the legacy he had entrusted to me. "It's still ours, grandfather," I whispered, my voice thick with emotion, the words a promise, a vow. He closed his eyes and nodded, the smallest movement, but it was enough. It was an acknowledgement, a blessing, a final seal on the future we had quietly, meticulously built together. We sat there until the sun dropped behind the hills and the air turned cold enough to see our breath, 2 figures silhouetted against the fading light, sharing a moment of profound peace. The world around us was quiet, serene, a stark contrast to the tumultuous events that had led us to this tranquil moment. There were no speeches, no apologies from anyone who owed them, no reconciliation that wasn't earned. There was just the quiet knowledge that the company would keep running, the trucks would keep rolling, and the people who had actually shown up every single day would keep their jobs and their dignity. This was the only ending this family gets, a testament to the enduring power of truth and integrity, a stark reminder that actions, not words or bloodlines, define one's worth. The silence was not empty. It was full, brimming with the weight of lessons learned, of battles fought, and of a future secured. It was a silence that spoke volumes, a powerful narrative in itself, and that is the lesson, the profound truth that resonated through every fiber of my being. Blood doesn't earn trust. Presence does. Showing up at 3 a.m. when the compressor fails, learning every valve and every contract, protecting the people who depend on you. Those are the things that matter when the room goes silent and the votes are counted. It's about the quiet work, the unwavering dedication, the relentless pursuit of excellence, even when no one is watching. It's about building something real, something sustainable, something that stands the test of time, not on the shifting sands of entitlement, but on the solid rock of hard work and genuine commitment. This story, my story, is a testament to the power of the unseen, the strength of the underestimated, and the ultimate triumph of integrity over arrogance. It's a reminder that true power lies not in inherited titles or superficial charm, but in the quiet, unwavering resolve to do what is right, to protect what is valuable, and to always, always show up. The journey had been long and arduous, filled with moments of doubt, frustration, and profound loneliness. But through it all, I had held on to the quiet conviction that my efforts, my dedication, would ultimately be recognized. My grandfather, in his wisdom, had seen beyond the superficial, beyond the expectations of society and family, to the true heart of leadership. He had not just given me a company, he had given me a purpose, a chance to prove that true value lies in substance, not in showmanship. And as I sat there, watching the last rays of sunlight disappear behind the hills, I felt a deep sense of peace, a profound gratitude for the path I had walked, for the lessons I had learned, and for the legacy I was now honored to carry forward. The company was not just a business, it was a living entity, a testament to hard work, integrity, and the enduring power of quiet strength, and its future I knew was in good hands. What new chapters would unfold for Bennett Cold Storage, and how would its story continue to inspire those who dared to dream beyond the confines of expectation? The answer, like the lake before us, was vast and full of promise. The dawn of each new day brought with it a renewed sense of purpose, a quiet determination to build upon the solid foundations I had meticulously laid. The company, now truly ours, was no longer just a collection of assets and contracts. It was a living, breathing entity, a testament to the collective effort of every dedicated employee. My focus shifted from the battles of the past to the opportunities of the future, from reclaiming what was rightfully ours to building a legacy that would endure for generations. The boardroom, once a battleground, was now a space for strategic planning, for fostering collaboration, for envisioning a future where innovation and integrity went hand in hand. The independent directors, now fully invested in my vision, became trusted advisors, their experience and insights invaluable as we navigated the complexities of a rapidly evolving industry. One of my first priorities was to reinforce the culture of meritocracy and respect that had been so conspicuously absent under the previous regime. I initiated a series of town hall meetings, traveling to each terminal, from the bustling hubs of Kansas City to the quieter outposts, to speak directly with the employees. I listened to their concerns, acknowledged their contributions, and shared my vision for a company where hard work was recognized, loyalty was rewarded, and every voice mattered. It was a stark contrast to the detached, top-down approach they had grown accustomed to, and the response was overwhelmingly positive. A palpable sense of renewed morale swept through the ranks, a collective sigh of relief that the era of favoritism and superficiality was finally over. The people who had kept the trucks rolling, who had maintained the cold chain, who had truly shown up every single day, now felt seen, valued, and empowered. We invested heavily in our infrastructure, upgrading the outdated brick freezers and diesel reefers that Logan had so disdainfully dismissed. But unlike his plan for wholesale liquidation, my approach was one of strategic modernization, integrating new technologies while preserving the core strengths of our existing network. We explored sustainable refrigeration solutions, invested in advanced logistics software, and expanded our fleet with state-of-the-art, fuel-efficient trucks. The goal was not just to compete, but to lead, to set new standards for efficiency, reliability, and environmental responsibility within the cold storage industry. Each decision was carefully weighed, not just for its financial implications, but for its impact on our employees, our partners, and the communities we served. It was a holistic approach, a testament to the belief that true success is measured not just in profits, but in purpose. The relationships with our key partners, Walmart and Cisco, deepened significantly. They saw in me a leader who understood the intricacies of their supply chains, a partner who was committed to long-term collaboration rather than short-sighted profit-taking. We worked closely with their teams to optimize routes, enhance delivery schedules, and implement innovative solutions that improved efficiency and reduced costs for both sides. These weren't just contracts. They were partnerships built on mutual trust and shared goals, a far cry from the speculative, unasked-for ventures Logan had pursued in Silicon Valley. The guaranteed cold chain volume continued to grow, a steady, reliable stream of revenue that fueled our expansion and allowed us to invest further in our people and our technology. My legal team, led by Jenna, became an indispensable asset, not just for navigating complex contracts, but for ensuring ethical governance and compliance. We established robust internal controls, implemented transparent reporting mechanisms, and fostered a culture of accountability at every level of the organization. The days of backroom deals and questionable expenditures were firmly in the past. Every decision, every financial transaction, was now subject to rigorous scrutiny, ensuring that the company operated with the highest standards of integrity. It was a commitment to transparency that extended to our shareholders, who, having witnessed the dramatic events of the past, now valued stability and ethical leadership above all else. The 18% of shares I had quietly acquired through Delaware LLCs proved to be a strategic masterstroke, not just for consolidating voting power, but for aligning my personal financial interests with the long-term health and prosperity of the company. The expansion I had envisioned, the routes and compressor upgrades I had discussed with my grandfather in his office, began to take shape. We opened new distribution centers in key strategic locations, carefully chosen to optimize our network and enhance our reach. Each new facility was designed with efficiency and sustainability in mind, incorporating the latest advancements in cold storage technology. These expansions created new jobs, injecting vitality into local economies, and further solidifying our reputation as a responsible corporate citizen. It was a period of intense growth, but it was growth guided by a clear vision, a deep understanding of the industry, and an unwavering commitment to our core values. The company was not just expanding, it was evolving, transforming into a modern, agile, and purpose-driven enterprise, a true leader in the cold storage industry. And in every decision, every new initiative, I felt the quiet presence of my grandfather, his silent nod of approval echoing in the halls of the revitalized company. What new challenges would this growth bring? And how would I continue to balance the demands of leadership with the profound lessons of the past? The journey, I knew, was far from over, and each step forward was a testament to the enduring power of quiet strength and unwavering resolve. Even as the company thrived under its new leadership, the echoes of the past, though faint, occasionally resurfaced, serving as a poignant reminder of the journey I had undertaken. News of Logan's struggles would sometimes filter through the industry grapevine: a failed business venture, another foreclosure, a deepening spiral into obscurity. My mother, Valerie, occasionally attempted to reach out, her calls hesitant and laced with a newfound humility, a stark contrast to her former arrogance. Peyton, though still working at the boutique, would sometimes send a cryptic text, a fleeting glimpse into a life she was trying to rebuild, far from the spotlight she once craved. I responded with a quiet dignity, offering no false promises of reconciliation, but also no bitterness. The wounds were deep, and true healing, I knew, could only come from within them, from a genuine reckoning with their own choices and actions. My focus remained steadfast on the future, on the company, and on the people who depended on it. The relationship with Uncle Marshall, though strained, remained civil. He retained his economic shares, a testament to my commitment to fairness, but his absence from the board observer status was a clear boundary. He understood the message, the consequence of his silent complicity in Logan's schemes. Occasionally, he would send a brief email, a polite inquiry about the company's performance, and I would respond with a concise update, maintaining a professional distance. It was a fragile peace, a recognition that while blood ties existed, the bonds of trust had been irrevocably broken. The family, as I had known it, was no more. In its place was a new kind of family, one forged not by blood, but by shared purpose, by loyalty, and by a mutual commitment to the values I now championed. My visits to my grandfather at Table Rock Lake became a sacred ritual, a quiet communion that grounded me amidst the demands of my leadership. He remained unable to speak, but his eyes, ever watchful, ever wise, communicated a depth of understanding that transcended words. In those moments, sitting by the still water, I would share with him the triumphs and challenges of the company, the progress we were making, the lives we were impacting. He would listen, his hand often reaching for mine, squeezing 3 times, a silent affirmation of his pride and approval. It was in these quiet moments that I felt the true weight of his legacy, not as a burden, but as a profound honor. His trust, his unwavering belief in me, was the most precious inheritance of all. The lesson he had imparted, that blood doesn't earn trust, but presence does, became the guiding principle of my leadership. It was a philosophy I instilled at every level of Bennett Cold Storage. We fostered a culture where dedication, hard work, and integrity were paramount. We celebrated the unsung heroes of the docks, the drivers who braved the elements, the operations managers who ensured seamless logistics. We understood that the true strength of the company lay not in its balance sheets or its market share, but in the collective commitment of its people. It was a profound shift, a transformation from a family-owned business, driven by entitlement, to a purpose-driven enterprise fueled by merit. The company continued its upward trajectory, exceeding all expectations. Our revenue growth remained strong, our debt balance zero, and our market share steadily increased. We expanded into new regions, embracing sustainable practices and leveraging cutting-edge technology to maintain our competitive edge. The 50 new trucks were just the beginning, a symbol of our renewed commitment to efficiency and environmental responsibility. We became a model for the industry, a testament to the power of ethical leadership and strategic vision. The story of Bennett Cold Storage was no longer just a tale of family drama. It was a narrative of resilience, innovation, and the triumph of quiet determination. As I looked back on the journey, from the icy stretch of I-70 to the tranquil shores of Table Rock Lake, I understood that my victory was not just about controlling a company. It was about reclaiming my narrative, about proving my worth not to my family, but to myself. It was about honoring my father's legacy and my grandfather's trust by building something truly meaningful, something that would benefit not just a select few, but an entire community of dedicated individuals. The path had been solitary, often painful, but it had forged me into the leader I was meant to be. And in that realization, I found a profound sense of peace, a quiet contentment that transcended the fleeting triumphs of power. The company, my company, was a beacon of what was possible when integrity and perseverance guided the way. And its story, I knew, would continue to unfold, a testament to the enduring power of quiet strength and unwavering resolve. What new horizons awaited Bennett Cold Storage? And how would its evolving legacy continue to inspire those who dared to challenge the status quo? The future, like the vast expanse of the lake, was open, full of promise, and waiting to be written. The transformation of Bennett Cold Storage extended far beyond the financial statements and operational efficiencies. It permeated the very fabric of the communities we served, creating a ripple effect that touched countless lives. My vision for the company was never solely about profit. It was about purpose, about creating a sustainable enterprise that contributed positively to society. We launched new initiatives focused on employee well-being, offering comprehensive training programs, mental health support, and pathways for career advancement. The high turnover rates that had plagued the industry, and our company, began to decline significantly, replaced by a loyal, dedicated workforce that felt invested in our shared success. This was a direct result of the culture I had fostered, a culture built on respect, transparency, and genuine care for our people. Our commitment to sustainability became a cornerstone of our operations. We explored renewable energy sources for our facilities, implemented advanced waste reduction programs, and optimized our logistics to minimize our carbon footprint. These initiatives were not just about compliance. They were about a deep-seated belief in our responsibility to the planet and future generations. We partnered with local environmental organizations, contributing to conservation efforts and educating our employees and communities about the importance of sustainable practices. This holistic approach to business, where environmental stewardship was as important as financial performance, resonated deeply with our partners and customers, further enhancing our reputation as a forward-thinking and responsible leader in the industry. The story of Bennett Cold Storage, under my leadership, began to attract attention beyond the immediate industry. Business journals and trade publications featured our innovative approaches to cold chain logistics, our commitment to employee empowerment, and our pioneering efforts in sustainability. I was invited to speak at industry conferences, sharing our journey and inspiring other leaders to adopt similar values-driven approaches. It was a surreal experience, to be recognized and celebrated for the very qualities that had once been dismissed and overlooked by my own family. The quiet girl who counted pallets was now a respected voice in a male-dominated industry, a testament to the power of perseverance and authentic leadership. Despite the public recognition, I remained grounded, never forgetting the lessons learned in the cold, unforgiving environment of the docks. I continued to walk the terminals, to engage with the drivers, the forklift operators, the maintenance crews. Their insights were invaluable, their daily experiences a constant reminder of the real-world implications of every strategic decision. I believed that true leadership stemmed from understanding the ground truth, from being connected to every aspect of the operation, from the smallest valve to the largest contract. This hands-on approach, a direct inheritance from my years of manual labor, ensured that our strategies were always rooted in practicality and efficiency, not just theoretical models. The relationship with my grandfather, though silent, continued to be a profound source of strength and guidance. During my visits to Table Rock Lake, I would often find myself reflecting on his quiet wisdom, his ability to see beyond the superficial and recognize true potential. He had not just built a company, he had built a legacy of resilience, a testament to the power of hard work and unwavering integrity. And now, it was my privilege to carry that legacy forward, to expand upon it, and to ensure that his vision, refined by my own experiences, continued to thrive. His silent presence was a constant reminder of the values that truly mattered, a moral compass in the complex world of corporate leadership. The company's growth also brought new challenges, demanding constant vigilance and adaptability. The market was dynamic, competition fierce, and technological advancements relentless. But we met these challenges with a spirit of innovation and a commitment to continuous improvement. We fostered a culture of learning, encouraging our employees to embrace new skills and adapt to evolving technologies. We understood that stagnation was the enemy of progress, and that true leadership required a willingness to constantly evolve, to push the boundaries of what was possible. The future of Bennett Cold Storage was not just about maintaining its position. It was about defining the future of the cold chain industry, about setting new benchmarks for excellence and responsibility. And in every step forward, I carried with me the quiet strength of my past, the profound lessons learned, and the unwavering belief in the power of presence. What new frontiers would we explore? And how would our story continue to inspire those who sought to build a legacy of purpose, not just profit? The journey, I knew, was an endless unfolding, a testament to the enduring spirit of innovation and the unwavering commitment to a vision that transcended mere business. As the company continued its upward trajectory, my focus increasingly turned to the human element, recognizing that the true strength of Bennett Cold Storage lay not just in its infrastructure or its financial health, but in the people who brought it to life every single day. I understood, perhaps more deeply than anyone else, the profound impact that a supportive and empowering work environment could have on an individual's life. Having experienced firsthand the sting of being overlooked and undervalued, I was determined to create a culture where every employee felt seen, heard, and respected. This commitment became a defining characteristic of my leadership, a cornerstone of the new Bennett Cold Storage. We implemented comprehensive mentorship programs, pairing experienced employees with newer recruits, fostering a sense of camaraderie and shared knowledge. These programs went beyond technical skills, focusing on leadership development, problem-solving, and critical thinking. We believed in nurturing talent from within, providing opportunities for growth and advancement that had once been reserved for a select few. The results were transformative: increased employee engagement, higher retention rates, and a palpable sense of pride in working for a company that genuinely cared about its people. The family business was no longer defined by bloodlines, but by a shared sense of purpose and a collective commitment to excellence. Recognizing the demanding nature of cold storage logistics, we also prioritized employee well-being. We introduced flexible work arrangements where possible, enhanced health and wellness benefits, and created dedicated spaces for rest and rejuvenation at our terminals. Mental health support, often overlooked in industrial settings, became a key component of our employee assistance programs. We understood that a healthy, happy workforce was a productive workforce, and that investing in our people was the most strategic investment we could make. These initiatives were met with immense gratitude, fostering a deep sense of loyalty and commitment among our employees, who saw in these efforts a genuine reflection of my values. The stories of individual employees, once relegated to the background, now took center stage. We celebrated milestones, recognized outstanding contributions, and shared personal narratives that highlighted the diverse talents and experiences within our team. From the veteran driver who had navigated countless winter storms to the young engineer who developed an innovative energy-saving solution, every story became a part of the larger narrative of Bennett Cold Storage. This emphasis on individual recognition not only boosted morale, but also created a powerful sense of community, transforming a large corporation into a cohesive, supportive network of individuals working towards a common goal. My personal journey, from the docks to the boardroom, served as an inspiration for many. I often shared my experiences, not as a tale of personal triumph, but as a testament to the power of perseverance, and the importance of never giving up on one's potential. I spoke of the challenges I faced, the moments of doubt, and the quiet determination that propelled me forward. My vulnerability resonated with employees, who saw in my story a reflection of their own struggles and aspirations. It created a bond of authenticity, a shared understanding that transcended hierarchical structures and fostered a deeper sense of trust and connection. The company's commitment to its people extended beyond its immediate workforce. We actively engaged with local educational institutions, offering internships, scholarships, and vocational training programs to aspiring logistics professionals. We understood the importance of investing in the next generation, of nurturing the talent that would drive the future of our industry. These partnerships not only provided a pipeline of skilled workers, but also reinforced our role as a responsible corporate citizen, deeply embedded in the fabric of the communities we served. The legacy of Bennett Cold Storage was no longer just about cold storage. It was about cultivating human potential, about building a future where opportunity was accessible to all who dared to dream and work hard. And in every success, every life touched, I felt the quiet satisfaction of knowing that my grandfather's trust had been honored, not just through financial prosperity, but through the profound impact we were making on the human spirit. What new ways could we continue to empower our people, and how would their collective strength continue to shape the evolving narrative of our purpose-driven enterprise? The answer, I knew, lay in the unwavering commitment to the human element, the beating heart of our revitalized company. The landscape of the cold storage industry was in constant flux, driven by rapid technological advancements, evolving consumer demands, and an increasing global interconnectedness. Under my leadership, Bennett Cold Storage embraced this dynamism, understanding that innovation and adaptability were not just desirable traits, but essential for long-term survival and sustained growth. We established a dedicated research and development division, a hub of creativity and forward thinking, tasked with exploring emerging technologies and anticipating future trends. This proactive approach ensured that we remained at the forefront of the industry, constantly pushing the boundaries of what was possible in cold chain logistics. One of our key areas of focus was the integration of artificial intelligence and machine learning into our operations. We developed sophisticated algorithms to optimize routing, predict demand fluctuations, and enhance inventory management, leading to significant improvements in efficiency and cost reduction. These technologies allowed us to minimize waste, reduce energy consumption, and deliver products with unprecedented speed and precision. The vision of driverless trucks and robotic warehouses, once a speculative fantasy in Logan's presentation, was now being carefully and strategically explored, not as a means to eliminate jobs, but to augment human capabilities and create new, higher-skilled roles within the company. We understood that technology was a tool, and its true value lay in how it served our people and our purpose. Cybersecurity became another paramount concern. As our operations became increasingly digitized and interconnected, the threat of cyber attacks grew exponentially. We invested heavily in state-of-the-art security protocols, implemented rigorous data protection measures, and conducted regular training programs for our employees to ensure they were equipped to identify and mitigate potential risks. Protecting our data and the sensitive information of our partners was not just a technical requirement. It was a fundamental commitment to trust and integrity, a non-negotiable aspect of our operations. We understood that in the digital age, a company's reputation was as vulnerable as its weakest link, and we were determined to build an impenetrable fortress of security. The global supply chain, exposed during recent crises, highlighted the critical importance of resilience and diversification. We expanded our network of suppliers and partners, establishing robust relationships across different geographical regions to mitigate risks and ensure continuity of operations. We also explored new markets, cautiously and strategically, identifying opportunities for growth in emerging economies while maintaining our strong presence in the Midwest. This global perspective, combined with our local expertise, allowed us to navigate the complexities of international trade and position Bennett Cold Storage as a truly global player in the cold chain industry. It was a testament to our adaptability, our willingness to learn, and our unwavering commitment to excellence on a global scale. My leadership style continued to evolve, blending the quiet determination of my past with a newfound confidence in my strategic vision. I fostered an environment of open communication and collaboration, encouraging employees at all levels to contribute their ideas and insights. We held regular innovation challenges, inviting teams to propose solutions to real-world problems and rewarding creativity and initiative. This decentralized approach to innovation empowered our workforce, transforming them from passive executors into active participants in shaping the company's future. It was a stark contrast to the hierarchical, top-down structures that had once stifled creativity and discouraged independent thought. The journey of Bennett Cold Storage was no longer just about overcoming past betrayals. It was about embracing the future with courage, foresight, and an unwavering commitment to our core values. We were building a company that was not only financially successful, but also socially responsible, environmentally sustainable, and deeply human-centric. The quiet girl who once counted pallets was now leading a global enterprise, her vision transforming an entire industry. And in every strategic decision, every technological advancement, every new partnership, I felt the enduring presence of my grandfather, his silent nod of approval echoing in the halls of innovation. The path ahead was filled with endless possibilities, and I was ready to lead Bennett Cold Storage into a future where purpose and prosperity converged, a testament to the enduring power of quiet strength and unwavering resolve. What new frontiers would we conquer, and how would our evolving legacy continue to inspire those who sought to build a future defined by integrity and innovation? The answer, I knew, lay in the relentless pursuit of excellence, guided by the profound lessons of the past. While the company soared to new heights, my personal life underwent its own quiet transformations, a constant negotiation between the relentless demands of leadership and the deep-seated need for balance and connection. The solitude that had once been a familiar companion during my years of struggle now felt different, tinged with the weight of immense responsibility. The quiet moments by Table Rock Lake with my grandfather became even more precious, serving as an anchor in a life that often felt like a whirlwind of decisions and demands. It was in these moments of stillness that I could truly reflect, to process the immense changes that had reshaped my world, and to find the inner peace necessary to continue leading with clarity and purpose. The public eye, once dismissive, now scrutinized my every move. Media interviews, industry awards, and speaking engagements became a regular part of my schedule, a stark contrast to the anonymity I had once embraced. While I appreciated the recognition for the company's achievements, I remained wary of the spotlight, understanding its fleeting nature and its potential to distract from the real work. I learned to navigate the complexities of public relations with grace and authenticity, always ensuring that the narrative focused on the collective efforts of our team and the values that defined Bennett Cold Storage, rather than on personal glorification. It was a delicate dance, balancing visibility with humility, influence with integrity. My relationships with friends, those few who had stood by me through the lean years, deepened. They offered a sanctuary of normalcy, a space where I could shed the mantle of CEO and simply be Riley. Their unwavering support, their ability to see beyond the title and into the heart of the woman, was invaluable. We shared laughter, quiet conversations, and the simple joys of everyday life, reminding me that true wealth lay not in corporate empires, but in genuine human connection. These friendships were a vital source of strength, a reminder that even in the highest echelons of power, the human spirit yearns for authentic bonds. The lingering shadows of my family's betrayal, though no longer debilitating, occasionally cast a faint pall over my thoughts. The calls from my mother, the cryptic texts from Peyton, were handled with a quiet resolve. I had forgiven them, not for their sake, but for my own peace of mind. Forgiveness, I realized, was not about condoning their actions, but about releasing myself from the burden of resentment. It was a spiritual journey, a process of letting go of the past so that I could fully embrace the present and shape the future. There was no grand reconciliation, no dramatic reunion, only a quiet acceptance of the irreparable damage that had been done, and a commitment to move forward with grace and integrity. The immense pressure of leading a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, with thousands of employees and complex global operations, was a constant companion. There were moments of doubt, moments when the weight of responsibility felt overwhelming. But in those moments, I would draw upon the quiet strength I had cultivated over years of struggle, the resilience forged in the cold, unforgiving environment of the docks. I reminded myself of my grandfather's trust, of the people who depended on me, and of the profound purpose that guided every decision. It was a constant act of self-reaffirmation, a deep dive into my inner reserves of strength and wisdom. Finding balance became an ongoing quest, a conscious effort to integrate my professional life with my personal well-being. I dedicated time to physical activity, to reading, to quiet contemplation, understanding that a healthy mind and body were essential for effective leadership. I learned to delegate effectively, to trust my team, and to recognize that true strength lay not in doing everything myself, but in empowering others to excel. It was a journey of continuous learning, of refining my leadership style, and of deepening my understanding of what it truly meant to lead with both strength and compassion. The crown of leadership was heavy, but it was a weight I carried with purpose, knowing that every decision I made was shaping not just a company, but a legacy of integrity, innovation, and profound human connection. What new personal insights would this journey continue to reveal? And how would I continue to find harmony amidst the relentless demands of a life dedicated to purpose? The answer, I knew, lay in the unwavering commitment to self-awareness, to growth, and to the quiet wisdom that resided within. The legacy of Bennett Cold Storage, under my stewardship, began to transcend the traditional metrics of profit and power, evolving into something far more profound and enduring. It became a testament to the idea that a business could be both immensely successful and deeply ethical, a beacon of responsible capitalism in an often unforgiving world. This was the true culmination of my grandfather's vision, refined and expanded by my own experiences and values. We were not just moving goods, we were moving forward, setting new standards for how a company could operate with integrity, purpose, and a profound commitment to its stakeholders. Our commitment to our employees, once a novel concept in the industry, became a model for others. We established an employee stock ownership plan, giving every long-term team member a direct stake in the company's success. This wasn't just about financial incentives. It was about fostering a deeper sense of ownership, a shared responsibility for our collective future. The pride and dedication of our workforce soared, translating into unparalleled levels of productivity, innovation, and customer service. They were not just employees, they were partners, co-creators of a legacy that was truly ours. This fundamental shift in ownership structure solidified the idea that the company belonged to those who showed up, who contributed, who truly cared. Environmental stewardship, once a peripheral concern, became deeply embedded in our corporate DNA. We invested in cutting-edge green technologies, from solar-powered refrigeration units to electric delivery fleets, significantly reducing our carbon footprint and setting ambitious sustainability goals. Our facilities became showcases for eco-friendly design and operation, attracting attention from environmental advocates and industry peers alike. We understood that true long-term value was inextricably linked to our planet's health, and that responsible environmental practices were not just good for business, but essential for the future of humanity. This commitment resonated deeply with a new generation of consumers and employees who sought to align themselves with companies that reflected their values. Our community engagement initiatives expanded, moving beyond simple philanthropy to genuine partnerships that addressed pressing social needs. We collaborated with local food banks to optimize their cold storage and distribution networks, ensuring that fresh, nutritious food reached those who needed it most. We supported educational programs focused on STEM fields, particularly for underserved youth, inspiring the next generation of innovators and leaders. These partnerships were not just about giving back. They were about leveraging our expertise and resources to create lasting positive change, to build stronger, more resilient communities. The company became a force for good, a testament to the idea that business could be a powerful engine for social progress. The story of Bennett Cold Storage and my journey within it became a powerful narrative of transformation. It was a story told not just in financial reports, but in the lives of our employees, in the health of our communities, and in the sustainability of our planet. It was a story of quiet strength, of unwavering perseverance, and of the ultimate triumph of integrity over entitlement. I often reflected on the initial boardroom confrontation, the arrogance of Logan, the dismissiveness of my family. They had seen only a company to be exploited, a legacy to be inherited. I had seen a living entity, a responsibility, a profound opportunity to build something truly meaningful. As I looked out at the thriving enterprise, at the faces of the dedicated people who made it all possible, I felt a deep sense of gratitude and fulfillment. The crown of leadership, once heavy with the weight of past battles, now felt lighter, imbued with the purpose and passion of a shared vision. My grandfather's silent nod, his unwavering trust, continued to be my guiding light, a constant reminder of the values that truly mattered. The company was no longer just a business. It was a living legacy, a testament to the enduring power of quiet strength, unwavering resolve, and a profound commitment to purpose. And its story, I knew, would continue to inspire, to challenge, and to redefine what it truly meant to build an empire, not just of wealth, but of lasting value and profound human impact. What new heights would this purpose-driven legacy achieve, and how would its evolving narrative continue to shape the future of business? One ethical decision, one empowered employee, one sustainable practice at a time. The answer, I knew, lay in the unwavering commitment to these core values, the true foundation of an enduring legacy. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long purple shadows across Table Rock Lake, painting the sky with hues of orange and deep violet. The air grew crisp, carrying the scent of pine and damp earth, a familiar comfort that always brought a sense of peace. I sat beside my grandfather, his hand still gently clasped in mine, the silence between us a language richer than any words. He closed his eyes, a faint smile gracing his lips, a look of profound contentment that spoke volumes. It was in these moments, stripped of all corporate demands and public scrutiny, that the true essence of our journey and its ultimate meaning became clearest. The company, Bennett Cold Storage, was thriving beyond anything my family could have imagined. It was a testament to the power of quiet work, of genuine loyalty, and of a leadership that prioritized purpose over personal gain. The financial reports were stellar, the operational efficiencies unparalleled, and the employee morale at an all-time high. But these were merely symptoms of a deeper, more fundamental success. The success of building a culture where integrity was paramount, where every individual felt valued, and where the pursuit of excellence was driven by a shared sense of responsibility. This was the legacy I had promised my grandfather, and it was a promise I had kept, not just with my actions, but with my very being. My own journey had been one of profound transformation. The quiet, underestimated girl who once counted pallets had evolved into a leader who commanded respect, not through force or inherited privilege, but through competence, compassion, and an unwavering commitment to her values. The scars on my fingers, once symbols of arduous labor, were now badges of honor, reminders of the foundations upon which my strength had been built. The grease under my nails, long since washed away, had been replaced by the indelible mark of experience, of a deep, visceral understanding of every facet of the business. I had learned that true power lay not in the ability to dominate, but in the capacity to inspire, to empower, and to serve. The family, in their various states of disarray, remained a distant echo. Logan, my mother, Peyton, their paths had diverged irrevocably from mine. There was no bitterness, no lingering desire for revenge, only a quiet understanding of the choices they had made and the consequences they now faced. My victory was not about their downfall. It was about my own ascent, about honoring the trust placed in me, and about building a future worthy of the name Bennett, a future defined by integrity and purpose. The reconciliation I sought was not with them, but with myself. A deep inner peace that came from knowing I had done what was right, what was necessary, and what was true. As the last sliver of sun disappeared, and the first stars began to prick the darkening sky, my grandfather stirred. He opened his eyes, clear and bright, and looked at me. Then, with a strength that defied his physical limitations, he squeezed my hand, not 3 times, but once, a single, firm squeeze. It was a new signal, a profound evolution of our silent language. It wasn't just pride. It was a deeper, more encompassing message. It was a whisper of completion, of a torch passed, of a legacy secured. It was his final, silent blessing, a testament to a journey fulfilled. I squeezed back, my own heart full, tears blurring the edges of the twilight. "Thank you, grandfather," I whispered, the words barely audible above the gentle lapping of the lake. "Thank you for everything." He closed his eyes again, a serene smile on his face, and in that moment, I knew he was at peace. His work was done, his legacy secured, his trust honored, and mine, in a way, was just beginning. The future of Bennett Cold Storage stretched before me, vast and full of promise. There would be new challenges, new innovations, new opportunities to make a difference, but I would face them with the quiet strength, the unwavering resolve, and the profound wisdom gleaned from my journey. The company was more than just a business. It was a living testament to the enduring power of presence, of loyalty, and of the human spirit's capacity to overcome adversity. It was a story that would continue to unfold, written not just by me, but by every dedicated employee, every satisfied partner, every community we served, and in every chapter, the enduring whisper of my grandfather's trust, and the profound lesson that blood doesn't earn trust, but presence does, would guide our way. This was not an ending, but a beautiful, powerful beginning, an unwritten future waiting to be shaped by purpose, integrity, and an unwavering commitment to what truly matters.